Happy Sunday. I'm taking advantage of my last remaining hours of freedom before my studies start. Actually, it starts on Tuesday. Tomorrow is a holiday. It's Labor Day. So today is Sunday, the 3rd of September 2023. And then tomorrow, the 4th of September, is Labor Day. So my studies does not begin officially until Tuesday, the 5th of September. And I am just beaming with excitement. I can't wait. I really do want to start this study because I want to get it over and done and get on with life. And I start to feel a little bored, even though I have a lot doing. I spent last two or 3 days online applying for jobs, so I have been busy, but there are still some unresolved emotions, I guess, because I know that my real purpose for being here is it hasn't started yet. So I just want to get the course going. So today I want to share about the process of applying for your student visa if you're coming to Canada. And I know there's a lot of information on YouTube about what you need to take with you when you're coming to Canada, what you need to apply. The most comprehensive information that you will need is available to you on the Canadian immigration website. So go to the website canada.ca and just search for the information. I'm not there with technology yet, or I would show you how to find the website and how to get on to access the information, but just search it. Google is your friend, so just search for the information. So the main thing that you will need, well, maybe not the main thing, but the first thing that you will need to get is your acceptance letter from the school that you intend to go in Canada. There are different schools in different provinces, so make sure you're checking which one you want to go to. And my suggestion is that you have a few that you will consider as options. Option A, or my first choice, option B, and so on. So if one doesn't work, then you have another one. In my case, I had started applying to this community college, but then when I thought about it, it was a little distance from the airport in Manitoba, and I thought of how difficult it probably would be for me to get from the airport to the location, get accommodation, and just being settled, and I knew coming here that I would not have transportation. I wouldn't have a car, so I would need to access public transportation. So that was also a consideration for me in not going through with the acceptance I had gotten from the first institution. So as I'm talking about institutions, you want to make sure that the institution that you decide to go to is on the designated learning institution list on the Canadian website. DLI institutions, if you just Google DLI institutions, you will see a list of them popping up. So I suggest that you identify the province that you want to go to, and then look in that province for the schooling options that are available on the list, and then you can choose a course that you're interested in from one of those on the list. There are some that are more expensive, some that are not as expensive, and there are other things to be considered. Of course, clearly, if the course you intend to study is being offered by that institution. But just make sure once it is on the DLI list, you are good to go, as long as they're offering a program that is considered I think you have to also consider whether it offers, a course offers a a work permit afterwards. So that's also something that you will need to look into. But the first thing that you will need to get is your acceptance letter from the institution. So the requirements from each institution is different. They will tell you, when you look on the school's website, they will tell you what you need, and they will tell you in what format. There are some that will accept the soft copies of your documents, and they will ask you later on to verify that those documents are actually authentic. There are others who will maybe require for you to send the hard copies, the physical hard copies. It just depends. So just look at the institution and see what they require of you. Now, once you get your acceptance letter for the purpose of your Canadian visa, you will also need to show proof of identity. For most persons, this means your passport. The site also talks about passport pictures, but for most persons it's passport. Now, you want to make sure that the passport that you are using, that it has a long enough life in it, so that when your visa is approved, the time period of your visa, of your student visa, is not restricted, is not limited to less than the 1 year or 2 years that they would give you on the visa. I'm saying this because whatever the expiration date is on your passport, your visa is going to expire the same day. That is my personal experience right now. So I'm going to have to get my passport renewed and then ask for an extension on my student visa, or my study permit. So make sure, if you can, get the passport extended, the expiration date on your passport. If you can extend that, if you can renew it to have a longer time, it would be better for you. And if you're a Jamaican watching this video, it's pretty easy now to renew your passport because everything is done online. Okay, so just make sure that you have a long enough time on your passport that there's not a limitation on the study permit that you get. So you will need to send a copy of your passport, acceptance letter from the institution. You will also need to show proof of financial support. Now, this is extremely important. When you look on the website, they will give you the information that relates to whether it's individuals or if you're coming with your family, if you have spouse and children. They will tell you how much money you need to come with to Canada, or be prepared to show the immigration officer that you have. It is very, very, very important that you show these funds. It's also important that you have as much money when you come to Canada as possible, because, let me rephrase that, it's also very important that you have as much money as possible when you come to Canada, because you will need it. The things here are expensive, and when you come, if you're not coming into a job, as a student, you wouldn't be coming into a job unless you have a relative or friend who has consented to offer you a job or something like that. But you will not you will not have funds coming in immediately. So you will need to have funds to carry you through until you get a job and are able to get some money. So I'm going to talk a little bit more about that in another video, but it's very important that you have as much money as possible. So for financial support, if you have funds in your personal account, whatever form those funds are in, you need to make sure that you have them in an account that it's a current account, meaning you can access the cash readily. So not in an investment account, If you submit that information to immigration, they may reject your application. They want to make sure that you have access to the funds. Like if you need to pull that funds today, you can just go to the institution and pull it, or you can do it online, with whichever applies. But you need to make sure that the funds, that if it's your cash, it's in your name. If there's another relative that's on the account, they may require, I'm not sure, they may require for them to give a letter or something indicating, you know, that the funds are, you can access the funds or whatever. So if you need additional help, you can have a sponsor, and that sponsor is usually a very close family member. If it's like a friend, then you will need to write to immigration to explain why your friend is willing to help you to pay your tuition or to take care of you in Canada. Okay, and they will have to show financial support, give information about their finances to indicate that yes, I have enough funds in my account to support this individual. So they will need to show maybe a bank statement, and the bank statements are usually for over a 4-month period. Now, one of the options that a lot of persons explore is to borrow funds, put it in the account, put it in your account, and to just leave it there for a while. I'm saying this is one option that people use, but remember I said before that you will need to have money when you come to Canada. So even if you're borrowing money, you need to make sure that there is a way for you to have some money when you get here, because you are going to need it. There are no two ways about that. You will need the money, so make sure you have it. I cannot overemphasize that. It can be so stressful when you come to Canada. You have things you need to do. You need to get an apartment, you need to get groceries, you need to set up your bills, and everything requires money. So if you don't have the money, you are going to be in deep trouble. Okay, so you don't want that additional stress, and especially if your course of study starts within a short space of time of you getting here, you will not have enough time to move around to get, you know, some of those things done. It can be extremely stressful. So try as best as possible, as much money as you can take with you when you're coming to Canada. Please do that. Or if you have it in an account that you can transfer to your bank account when you open it here, then that's fine. That's something that I did as well. All right, so for in support of your finances too for immigration, one of the things that I would recommend, if possible, is to pay your full tuition. Now, I was favored in that regard. The Lord just made a way, just opened the door for me to get full support for my tuition. So my tuition was paid in full, and that really helps your application with immigration, I think, because it shows that you're really serious about doing this program, and you've covered a big chunk of the financial obligation that you would have in Canada. So once you have that part covered, then you would need to show less cash than you would have had to if you didn't pay the full tuition. Okay, so acceptance from the school, proof of identity, proof of financial support. There are some nationalities that will need to do a medical exam. For Jamaicans, that's not required for us. So if it's something that your nationality, you have to check that as well. And like I said, I'm referring you back to the canada.ca website, because all the information is there. So if your nationality requires a medical, then you have to do that. You also have to submit a letter of explanation, and this letter pretty much explains why you want to come to Canada. I was looking at the information here. So this letter helps the visa officer to understand you and your goals. Why do you want to study in Canada? And it should indicate that you understand your responsibilities as a student. Okay, now all of these things that I'm telling you, all the requirements, thank God I didn't have to take on the responsibility of actually submitting the documents, because I used a consultant, a very good friend of mine that I will recommend to you, Roseanne Immigration. I'm going to look it up. Oh my goodness, that's so horrible. But a very good friend of mine, I will post a link in the description to this video, and they helped me to submit my application for the visa. But I had to get the documents together that I need to show proof of support, ties to Jamaica. If you have a relative, like you have a child, or your husband, your spouse is in Jamaica, or you have property or something that connects you to Jamaica or wherever your nationality is, then it's good to submit those in your application. All right, so those are generally the things that you will need to submit an application for your student visa. Now, how long the process takes, I'm going to do that in another video. So if you want to hear about that, stick around and I'll tell you in just a moment. Okay, see ya.